everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel YNR Daily Spoiler. Mariah arrested. Clary finally defeats Audra.
Claire defeats Audra, and Mariah is arrested. Claire, the executive director of the Harmony Arts Foundation, a made-up non-profit organization established for this storyline, requests an end-of-quarter reconciliation from Audra, her CFO. Audra, who is cool in front but guarded in private, smiles as she runs numbers and navigates spreadsheets. Claire boasts about donor interest and is pleased with the new mentorship program. Claire, however, has seen a problem lately. Vendor invoices with questionable timestamps, donation envelopes that were not correctly entered, and a grant payment that cleared too rapidly. Old accounting software, Audra dodges. Claire, by herself in her office late, detects a tone underlying the kind words, an edge that has always been present. We'll fix it. To reassure important donors, she chooses to conduct a proactive audit. Respectful but not naive, the auditor works for a modest local firm. The perfect fall guy and the red flags. Over the course of several months, the audit reveals a number of unlawful wire transfers. Invoices and documents with signatures that appear to meet Claire's approval procedures appear to have been provided by the funds sent through an LLC, Marlowe Consulting. Claire doesn't recognize the consultant's name. Based on a gut feeling, the auditor checks through internal emails and finds a forwarded authorization from an account that appears as mariah.copeland@harmony.org in the header. Mariah's login appears to have been used to process the transfer authorization during the days she was away of the office on family business. The header in the draft binder is flagged by Audra, who is in charge of vendor relations. We'll need to escalate this to law enforcement, she advises Claire, but she is cautious, helpful, almost empathetic. Internally, she is aware that Mariah, who is young, busy, trusting, not a board member or wealthy donor, will appear to be a believable fall guy and may be readily demonized. The arrest. With a warrant, the police arrive stealthily at daybreak. Mariah is taken aback. She had hoped that a misunderstanding would be resolved. Time-stamped approval emails from Mariah's account are the incriminating evidence that the police provide to Claire. Mariah Copeland arrested on suspicion of embezzling funds is the one-line statement delivered to the press. Despite a friend's attempt to stop the chopper, it comes. Sirens, cameras, and the abrupt public display of human life. The first emotional beat is private. Claire sobs in the boardroom of the foundation, appalled that the group she loves would be jeopardized. The second beat is made public. Mariah is dragged into a harsh interrogation room where one officer reads the allegations to her, looking scared and confused. She adamantly denies doing it. She was supposed to be the person on paper by someone, somewhere, who believes Mariah. That is the resistance. Rally of family and friends. A circle of people who know Mariah as brutally honest, including Lauren, Sharon, and Tess, or another close friend in the show's universe, mobilize. They work with a defense lawyer who has a track record of taking on cases that seem impossible. Mariah is arrested and freed on bond, but the social fallout happens right away. Volunteers withdraw, donors stop contributing to the foundation, and Claire's scheduled luncheon turns into a media circus. Despite her heartbreak and anger, Claire won't allow the foundation to be exploited as a political football. Despite the growing public rumors, she engages forensic accountants and insists on a comprehensive internal probe. Claire has a little but principled corner. The foundation must be open and transparent, and Mariah is innocent unless proven guilty. The calm performance of Audra. Audra, on the other hand, portrays the remorseful professional with terrifying accuracy. She calls a board member who is amenable to the media, circulates an internal memo, and recommends a spending freeze until the review is conducted. No one considers the woman who profited early on from the foundation's generosity. A third-party vendor, she suggested that, ironically, submitted payments to Tom Marlowe Consulting. But her tone is measured. Audra's theatrical genius is to sweep the dirt in the direction of someone else, while making it appear as though you're cleaning up the mess. The initial break, a technical error. Server logs are subpoenaed by the defense lawyer. Uncertain and anxious, a junior IT professional at the foundation extracts login metadata and detects irregularities. Mariah's phone record indicates that she was at a pediatric clinic with her child on the day that her account was used for approvals, in a city she never visited. The IP addresses associated with those transactions resolve to a VPN exit node. Technically speaking, that is encouraging because it implies that a malevolent individual forged her login. The defense uses the forensic pack. However, because they have a paper trail and paper arguments, the prosecution is cunning. The trial pivot will take time, the judge said, rejecting an instant dismissal. Sleuthing by Claire, a new ally rises. Claire takes it personally. At this point, Claire changes from a grieving person to a detective. She has a deep understanding of the volunteers and vendors at the charity. Because she is familiar with Mariah's work ethic and her passion for the children the charity serves, she has faith in her. Claire uses access that no one else has. She hunts down physical invoices, telephones the main vendor connections, looks for handwriting samples, and requests CCTV footage from the foundation's tiny office. Footage that no one was expecting. She discovers a quick video of someone carrying a thin laptop bag into the office late at night. Audra's security badge is briefly shown on the door next to it. Audra explained that she was behind schedule in creating donor lists. Despite the graininess of the video, Claire's intuition shines through. The perspective of forensics. Claire employs a digital forensic specialist, a lady who has experience investigating corporate fraud for a bank and is aware of the exact locations where accountants fabricate evidence. The specialist manages email routing, vendor bills, and the foundation's mail server. One peculiar bit of metadata she finds is that the authorization emails were sent using a mailbox alias that corresponds to Audra's known desktop. In indirect ways, the data suggests that someone has the technical know-how to conceal their actions in addition to having access to the vendor pipeline. Although she didn't anticipate working in law enforcement, Claire excels at identifying connections that others overlook. The counterpunch. Mariah's defense and Audra's motive. The reasons behind Audra's actions. The show exposes Audra's motivation in detail. She had long desired authority over the foundation's profitable vendor connections, which include contracts for art materials, grants for community music, and stipends for creative therapy. These contracts pay remarkably well when given out on a large scale. As an unseen partner, Audra had discreetly directed purchases to a partnership LLC. Confident that no one would notice, she gradually pilfered little amounts. And then, to protect herself in the event of an audit, she made Mariah the scapegoat. She discovered that Mariah frequently used a specific approval interface, so she chose to make Mariah the guilty party. The backstory of Audra is given depth. She was a woman who felt ignored all the time and who justified stealing as compensation for being ignored. This is a classic soap opera justification that simultaneously humanizes and condemns. Mariah's first court appearance. It's an emotional first pre-trial hearing. The DA presents the paper trail, which includes cuffed images of Mariah's shocked face. The judge states that the question of intent remains unresolved despite the defense's demonstration of IP abnormalities. The DA maintains Mariah's bail, claiming the evidence is credible and the allegations are serious. Early on, Mariah's defense gives a heartbreaking statement in which she describes her everyday routine, her love for the children, the dreadful jobs she held, and her refusal to steal. She turns into an honest, human testimony to the peril of accepting a single piece of information as fact. As viewers consider the idea that a young woman with a reputation for integrity could be demonized by the mere tossing of a few computer logs, public sympathy starts to shift. Audra reacts, mirrors and smoke. The media war gets more intense. Under pressure, Audra is a master at public relations. She divulges a private document that she made, but that sounds credible, revealing that Mariah once complained about her role. The statement was taken out of context, but it would make a great headline. Social media feeds show Mariah as a disgruntled employee, according to commentary. The DA depends largely on public opinion. Conversely, Claire declines to engage in publicity stunts. As she keeps gathering proof, the board of the foundation becomes uneasy. Donors withdraw collectively. Claire must strike a balance between sustaining the program and rescuing a lady who was falsely accused as her team risks layoffs. It's a moral calculation that modifies Claire's risk tolerance. A crucial eyewitness. Audra once employed a temporary accountant to assist with vendor reconciliation, but an unlikely player reverses the tide. She had been instructed to destroy strange receipts, but she retained them because she was in a legal limbo. She gives them to Claire in private out of moral obligation. Importantly, the vendor was set up in a P.O. box connected to Audra's offshore counsel. Even though the receipts display the identical payee names and tiny deposit rounds as the vendor invoices. The fruit that Claire and the defense team now possess is a paper chain that points in Audra's direction and away from Mariah. Spectacle in the courtroom. The trial continues. The case is made by forensics. The forensic expert returns with damning evidence. The VPN exit nodes used to hide the login trace to Mariah's account were paid for with a credit card traceable to Audra's personal home improvement business. And the authorization emails were sent via a computer with Audra's MAC address in the header. It is a patchwork of convergent yet circumstantial data. The arc is presented by the defense. Audra had access, resources, and motivation. Mariah didn't have any. The jury views the CCTV footage and receipt scans. Claire reads aloud a vendor invoice in a dramatic moment, comparing the signature style to Mariah's well-known handwriting. The loop forms are different. The prosecution's defense appears more doubtful, and the audience is moved. The collapse of Audra. Under cross-examination, Audra, who was once polished, starts to break. The defense lawyer shows the LLC that Audra suggested a bank record with odd deposits. Under duress, Audra makes up a tale about trying to fast-track vendor payments during a staffing problem. But when Claire shows the temporary accountant's notes on torn receipts, the story falls apart. Stunned, then silent in the courtroom, Audra gets red in the face. As her lawyer switches to damage control tactics, the storyline has already shifted, with the scapegoat appearing less guilty and the scapegoater becoming more vulnerable. A dramatic turn. The verdict and Claire's victory. The jury makes a decision. A heated week of discussions ensues. When the jury returns, their forms have been marked as guilty or not guilty. The chief juror remains. Mariah was found not guilty of any criminal offenses. The courtroom lets out a sigh. Mariah breaks out in tears. Claire falls into a chair, her hands shaking. Embarrassed, the DA meets with an investigator who reminds him that circumstantial evidence is weak. However, acquittal is not the end of the story. The board of the organization takes a civil course of action, suing Audra to demand her dismissal and seek restitution. Claire insists on transparency reforms and works to ensure the remaining stolen funds are returned. The board unanimously decides to fire Audra with cause and turn over the findings to the authorities for a criminal referral after being reprimanded. The true fall of Audra. The criminal referral turns out to be lethal. After the forensic metadata and the receipts from the temporary accountant sparked a federal or state inquiry, Audra was charged with embezzlement and fraud. A brief, degrading incident outside the foundation building results in Audra's arrest. There are a lot of reporters. Photographs are taken of her upscale hideout. The headlines, such as Audra's Empire of Lies, are brutal. Despite her success, Claire is not arrogant. "We won't allow our organization to be a vehicle for exploitation," she declares as she stands in front of the contributors and volunteers. The speech does well on local news. "This work is bigger than any of us." Donors start coming back. Aftershocks, reconciliations, and reforms. Mariah's healing. Mariah hangs around with her loved ones. Although she has partially recovered her public image, the wounds are severe. She informs the world about the agony of being publicly humiliated and takes interviews with a measured grace. As a token of appreciation, the foundation promises to consult her on oversight policy and gives her a volunteer medal. Claire acknowledges that the foundation may have served as a shield rather than a sword and apologizes on several occasions in public. Their bond grows into one of healing and respect for one another. Change in structure. Claire oversees significant governance reforms, including a third-party vendor certification procedure, two-tier approval for disbursements, improved IT records, and anonymous reporting and whistleblower protections. She proposes term limitations for the CFO-like position and puts in an independent audit committee. A realistic, rather than merely symbolic redemption arc. The foundation serves as a model for other small organizations in Genoa City. The demise of Audra and her emotional cost. The bond hearing for Audra is a brief but sad event. She claims she has been unfairly singled out while wearing a serene outfit and looking pale. She is placed in federal custody by the court pending trial. The conclusion is both dramatic and unremarkable. A private life destroyed, a name put on a docket, and a story for the tabloids. Claire does not celebrate. Instead, she observes from the gallery. More has been spent on the entire arc than on a single antagonist. Why this arc lands? A human anchor. There is more to Mariah's arrest than meets the eye. It demonstrates the brittleness of reputations and the ways in which organizations can let those they are supposed to protect down. Her innocence serves as a medium for empathy and demonstrates how actual human pain results from governmental errors. A heartfelt legal thriller. The narrative keeps the emotional stakes high while providing viewers with forensic detail and legal chess. Paper receipts, digital forensics, and a courageous temp's conscience come together to create a clear path from mystery to truth. A moral lesson. Claire's triumph does not equate to retaliation. It's a public defense of the weak and institutional transformation. Instead of using punishment as the only option, the arc develops better systems. Long-term payoff. Mariah's new position as a non-profit ethics advocate, Audra's trial, resentful donors, and characters who will never look at one another the same way again are just a few examples of how the fallout reconfigures relationships and sets up future drama. Future steps. Audra enters a not guilty plea and alleges coercion during her trial. Will additional players be exposed by her trial? Former business associates might change their minds. Mariah's new role. Affected by the experience, Mariah launches a small initiative to assist others who have been wrongfully accused in resolving their legal and reputational issues. She turns to civic activity. Claire's prospects in politics. Claire's profile is raised by press attention. She is hinted at being asked to assist organizations throughout the city by a member of the municipal council. Will she accept a job in the public eye? A shadowy thread. According to the temporary accountant, there were traces of the scheme's affiliation with a broader local fraud ring. Corruption may still exist in Genoa City.